Welcome back to
Oh my gosh.
Man, I swear to God. Go ahead. Welcome back to the Talk Your Walk podcast. I'm your host, Austin Lipkin. With me, as always, are my two co-hosts, Noah Wilmer.
And I'm George Miller, the producer.
And today we have a really exciting episode happening right now. So for us here at the Talk Your Walk podcast, this is actually our first international episode. We have Daniel and Annette Fortner, who are travel vloggers. I think everybody here at this table either had, knew you guys, or, I never really knew the two of you very well, but I definitely knew who you were. George, you kind of had more of an experience with Daniel, and I mean, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, I knew Galen a lot more than I did Daniel, though.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, Daniel, I see Galen at the gym all the time. He's doing great.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was getting big.
He's getting jacked.
Not as big as me.
He's doing the work for sure.
Well, it's exciting to talk to you guys because this is, what you guys are doing, it's not, what's the best way to put this? It's not the normal thing to do. Like, you guys have set forth a path in life that's truly insane, because honestly, you guys have set forth a path in your life to really change where you were going with your careers and where you were at, and you've done that by doing Chase for Adventure. So, I mean, if the best way that we kind of could start this is just, how did this even begin? How did this even start in the first place?
So it started with us being really, really miserable working our 9-to-5s, and really kickstarted after I had a serious bout with depression and ended up having to call the suicide hotline. And then after that happened, I kind of realized, listen, something has to give. There's no reason why I should hate Monday through Friday and why I should be counting down the days until Friday. Or I don't know if you guys get this feeling. Well, probably not, because we're doing the podcast. But I would always get on Sunday nights, like this dread in my stomach, like this pit, like my days of freedom are over. And I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to feel depressed anymore. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't living every single day to the fullest. And then that's when I went to Daniel and I was like, Daniel, I think I'm going to start looking for a job abroad. And he's like, what?
I was like, what do you mean looking for a job abroad? I just got a new job here.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, I'm setting roots. I don't know what this abroad thing is.
Yeah. So if that was in March, then by October when we got married, I had been like slowly trying to convince him, like I'm showing him all these job opportunities abroad.
Yeah, she definitely warmed me up by then, for sure.
And we had also been watching other travel vloggers like Lassa Blanc, Karen Nate. This also really awesome, this guy that does travel documentaries called Carl Watson. And so the weekend of our wedding gets there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And we had the best day of our lives. I know that sounds super cheesy, but it really was. It was a day where we were both present. All of our family was there. Everybody was happy.
We just got to focus on each other and like our love for each other. And we were like, how are we not getting this every day?
Yeah. And so we, at the time, couldn't even afford to really take any time off after the wedding. And so the wedding was on Saturday, and Sunday, the Sunday scaries came in, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to work tomorrow. I can't go to work tomorrow. I need a way out. So I went to Daniel, and I was like, Daniel, how much would it take us to save $40,000 for a year abroad? So great. We pulled out our little calculators. We started doing some math. And to save $40,000 at our current pay rates, it would have taken us 3 years. And guys, I swear, I literally couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was kind of in the same boat, because I had been working at my job for a few months, and it was not a great work environment. And I was on the same camp of like, let's get out, let's go do something different. And so Sunday came, Sunday scaries hit just as well. And so we kind of had that conversation. Okay, what are we gonna do?
Where were you guys working? Where were you both working?
So I was working at I was running 2 emergency rooms, and
I was a preschool teacher.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Man, I can understand you.
Jeez, okay. So
you work with children. There's nothing crazy about that.
So I understand like the whole motive behind that and everything, and I think that's really cool, and that's awesome. But like something like that, like going from where you're settled down and like where your job is and where like, the normality of like like stability of like having a place to be is like like uprooting that and to travel abroad and everything can probably be pretty scary. So like, were you guys ever like, were you guys ever at a point where like, is this a good idea? Like, we shouldn't do this?
100%.
So that point only hit like dozens of times
Yeah.
after we started selling our stuff. So we got married. We started selling all of our stuff that Sunday.
Jeez.
Like literally, like we're just
Yeah.
posting the guitars, and if they sell, it's meant to be. And guys, they literally sold in 40 minutes. We posted them on OfferUp, and we're
And
like,
they were expensive
this
guitars.
is a sign.
We made like $600 off both of them.
in that same
Wow.
night, like Daniel had to drive to one location in town to sell his guitar, and I had to drive at the same time to a different location to sell my guitar. And so,
And we were kind of like, oh, it's a sign.
yep, that's it.
We're doing
Fine.
it.
So
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as like answering your question, yeah, the moments of freak outs came consistently.
Yeah.
The first time that I started freaking out, and actually, if you guys go onto our YouTube channel, there's a video called "What It Takes to Prep for 5 Years of Travel," and
Brace yourself. It was like one of our earlier videos.
Yeah.
It is not the greatest.
but there,
Trust
you
me,
can
we get that
actually see,
feeling.
Daniel, I had started.
What'd you say?
I said, trust me, we get that feeling.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, in the video, you can see that Daniel's like cleaning off our bedroom furniture, and I'm like basically having a meltdown because all of our bedroom furniture was empty because we were selling it next day, and that was going to be the last day that we were going to have our apartment and have a place
Yeah.
to sleep. And for me, that was huge because that was really, I don't know, the first big purchase that Daniel and I had ever made as a couple,
Mhm.
and the first time that we had done something like
Yeah.
adulty. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was hard for me. So it happened multiple times. That was one. Daniel had several where it's like, luckily they happened at opposing times.
Yeah, to where like when I would freak out, she would be there and be like, no, remember, like we've thought this through. This is what we want to do. We
It's
have a
worth it.
plan. And then she would freak out and I would say the same thing. So it was perfect. It was a balance.
And we also bought the one-way tickets really early so
Yeah.
that we couldn't go back on the decision.
Wow.
The funniest part to me is that you had to sell Daniel on the idea. Like that's always hilarious to me to see a married couple or somebody that's been together like that and they're serious about the relationship and something so life changing. It's like you were able to convince them like, hey, this is what we should do. And that's not only like that shows how good your guys' relationship is, but also like you said, there's some things about this that kind of just seem like they were meant to be for you guys.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's definitely, I think, an opportunity for couples to grow together, for moments like these to happen. And you have to have such a huge level of trust in the other person because
Yeah.
beyond the stability, like anything that he had built independently from me was also now gone, right?
Yeah.
His truck, his car, his stability, like if anything, which obviously we knew that nothing would have ever happened
Yeah.
to a relationship, but this is definitely not something that I would recommend for couples on a rocky path.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. We were definitely in a great place and we just happened to do something really cool
Yeah.
with our careers.
Yeah.
And also, Daniel and I had worked together for the better part of 3 years.
Yeah.
Right next to each other.
And we weren't doing that right before we left on this trip and I missed that so much.
Yeah. I love Daniel's work ethic. And that was actually one of the first things that really attracted me to him is the fact that he's so driven. He's such a good leader. You can count on him. He's dependable. And so I always wanted to start a business with Daniel because I wanted to have an excuse to be around him all day long and to see that side of him because I couldn't see that when I was working at the preschool.
That's incredible.
That can I just say that like really hit me hard. That was just really really sweet. Just say that.
No, thanks. I kind of like her a lot.
I kind of like her a
All
lot.
right, you guys can stop.
Jeez.
So let me get into this. So you guys said you guys are starting up an online course.
Yes.
Okay, and also I want to say for my siblings, like they love watching vloggers on YouTube. They have yet to discover you guys. I'm gonna actually tell them. They're gonna freak out. It's gonna be great. But the online courses and whatnot. Like, what are you guys planning on doing? Like, what goes into that?
Quite a bit. To be honest, Annette's really taken the reins on this one because I've been so caught up with like the video editing and making sure that we're staying on top of like our channel and stuff like that. This is definitely one for you.
I'll take it. Okay, so the online course that we're building is called Worker to Wanderer. And in summary, when we first made the decision to drop everything, sell our stuff, quit our jobs, there was no information on the internet of anybody else doing this. And so I spent just hours and hours looking for, okay, well, how do I had never really traveled outside of when I went to study abroad, which is obviously like in a controlled environment. How do I make a plan? How do I set up a route? How do we sell all of our stuff? How do we pack? What do we pack? Like,
we did hours of research.
and there was nothing, right? Everybody was like, oh, okay, well, this is what you pack for a month trip. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I'm trying to do 52 months? Like, this doesn't work for me. And so, and also something that I know was really scary for me too was not having the certainty of how we were going to be able to make money abroad. Mm-hmm. We luckily have the mentality of we can do freaking anything that we set our minds to. And so we knew that Chase Your Adventure was going to be successful because we're going to be working on it together. But I also understand that it's harder for people, who don't have a partner, like Daniel, for example, and for people who don't have that kind of confidence in themselves. So Worker to Wander is literally taking people from the moment that they decide I can't do this anymore till the moment that they buy one-way tickets and land in whatever country. We teach them how to make all the different ways that they can make money abroad. We teach them how to pack, how to travel safely, what insurance to get, everything, where they should set up a home base. Should they want to set up a home base? Basically, I'm creating the course that
we wish we would have had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Wow.
Well, I actually saw on your guys' website, you guys had a couple of testimonials down there at the bottom. I can't remember the names of who, but have you guys already had people come and join the program?
Yeah.
So, fun fact.
We're with two of them now.
Yes. So, what we had, and this is also kind of where the birth of the idea started, is we have a best friend named Danye, who we really we loved him.
Yeah.
Loved him.
We loved
him.
He's
He's still alive. He's totally fine.
I was like, well, the way this sounds, like, did it not go as planned? Like,
No. It went, and you'll see why. He's actually sleeping downstairs in our condo in Thailand now.
Wow.
Because we would FaceTime him from Indonesia and be like, Danye, if you hate your job, why are you doing it? We also worked with Danye, so we knew Danye's work ethic, his personality, his drive. There was no reason for him to be working a job that didn't make him happy. And as his friends, we were going to do everything possible to not let that happen, right?
100%.
So after a few months of convincing him, we had points on one of our travel credit cards, and we're like, Danye, listen, if you can commit to quitting your job and just trying this and letting us show you the ropes, we will buy your tickets to Australia, where he can get a working holiday visa, and we would teach him all the ways to make this sustainable. And then he booked them. So June, and then also a few months after that, he was talking to his friend Tanner, and his friend Tanner was like, holy guacamole, that sounds crazy and awesome. I'm inviting myself. Let's do this.
And so Tanner's here too.
So we have since they both made the decision, we would almost Skype them, multiple times a week at first, teaching them everything that we knew about travel and everything that we're going to be showing in Worker to Wander. And then since June 5th, we met them up here in Thailand and have been taking them through all of the ropes, kind of watching how the topics that we've taught them have kind of manifested. And we've even realized some things that we didn't think to include the first time around that now we are going to include because we've seen that there's struggles that they're facing.
And working out all the details, because like when planning a trip as big as this one, especially one that has no end date, there are a lot of odds and ends to take care of back home. Odds and ends that you have to maintain while you travel.
Yeah.
And so getting all the ones that we had done, getting it from a different perspective also, because they are solo travelers and they're not couple travelers, which is a very different style of travel, surprisingly.
Very.
And so just getting all those odds and ends, making sure they're kind of like test run and not necessarily dummy proof, but we're realizing that we had some holes that we're like filling in the gaps for, because doing this with people and actually having like live test runs and things like that has been making a huge difference.
Yeah. And also we really want people, especially when they're making such a big life choice. This isn't like buying a new car that if that car sucks, you just sell it and buy a new one, right? Mm-hmm. This is making a huge life change. And I would hate for people to put that kind of trust on us and us not be able to give them the best possible information
Yeah.
where they feel nothing but comfort and confidence. So that's Worker to Wonder.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was about to say, you guys.
And those are the guys. So those are the people who are in the testimonial. So Danya
Yeah.
was one of the people who wrote us a testimonial.
I think Lauren had written one. She's back home.
Yes, but
Yeah.
she's one of my friends who I also was teaching her about travel. And then she went on to travel by herself to, I don't know, 10, 15 different countries and loves it. Got a whole bunch of tattoos. She's rocking it over there.
Wow.
But yeah.
I was about to say, the best thing you guys have going for you is that you've done it yourself. I mean, what better way for people to trust you and trust your program than to see for yourself that you've gone through these stages, you've failed, you've had success, and you've built it from the ground up yourselves. I mean, honestly, that's your selling point. That's your, you know,
that's some great credibility right there too. Like
for sure.
the fact that you decided to do this, and the fact that despite no one else having done it before, you can't find anything online about it, you're doing it from scratch, you're taking a huge leap of faith to just do what you want to do and just and fight through all the difficulties that it brings. That's a real come up story. That's amazing. Like,
thank you so much.
Yeah, so like you guys are the first people to like do something like this and put out some type of like product from it, right? Like with what you guys are doing with the program and everything.
Yeah, in the way that we're doing it.
Yeah.
There are people, you'll be able to find people online who are going to teach you how to become like an online entrepreneur.
Or digital nomads in their terminology.
However, the way that we're kind of positioning ourselves for this is we want people who, even the ones who aren't confident enough to start their own business, the people who don't want to be entrepreneurs, we want to teach people that there's remote work opportunities out there. There are working holiday visa opportunities where you can just go to different countries and properly work.
Which we did while we were in Australia. I actually ended up working as a bartender for a couple months just to save up money because they pay you so much in Australia.
Yeah. And had we known, I think what we know now about remote work, about working holiday visas, we would have left at 18,
we
19.
been gone like 4 years ago.
Because it really is the opportunities out there. And there's multiple countries that offer Americans ways to get jobs abroad and high paying jobs. In Australia, Danny was making $36 an hour. And then that's money that, sure, you work in Australia for 6 months. You take that to Southeast Asia, where the currency is a fraction of the money that you have in the bank account, and then you're living like a king for months.
Wow. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got to end the episode. I'm hopping onto a flight to Australia right now.
Like we're gonna cut this episode short. I think we're taking a Talk Walk to Australia. Talk Walk Australia coming soon next year.
We're meeting you in the airport.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll see you
See
there.
you there.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. See you guys. All right.
They cut up.
I also, the one thing I want to add is that I don't know where you two were born, or like as far as like where you come from, but at least from what I know, you guys spent a significant amount of time here in Gainesville. And Gainesville is such a small place that I think a lot of people are sometimes shell shocked by the idea that there's an entire world out there. You know, I've personally,
I know I was.
Yeah.
I've personally known people that when you tell them about how you've gone to different states and just being in the same country but not staying in the same state, people are mind blown by that. So for you guys, I mean, what was the process like of going from Gainesville to now traveling the world?
Daniel.
Yeah. So I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. Oh my gosh. I definitely saw Gainesville as a place where like I was going to settle down, grow old, have kids. And anytime the thought of leaving was ever brought up, I would just have like sheer anxiety. Just, I can't do this. I'm not leaving. Oh my God, I can't breathe. And just because I guess you're in a way you just really described it well. It's just a small town, and sometimes the small towns can trap you. And I had definitely gotten trapped in that for sure.
Yeah. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, to Cuban parents who my dad was always passionate about other countries and would teach me a lot about that. And I also left home at a really young age. I moved away when I was 17. And so the concept of just leaving. To me, I'm kind of a hippie. I can pack my bags and go right now. If I could show up to countries with a purse and no backpack, like wear the same outfit every day and that be socially acceptable, I would do that.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Where's like, okay, how many countries have you guys been to?
So together,
38.
outside of this trip, 38.
Wait.
But if you separate the
Yeah,
countries,
if you
Daniel's been to
Uh,
a little more than
I
38.
think I've been to like 45, I think. Because I did. So with my dad being retired military, I was able to like travel to where we would just pay for like the meal on the flight, and we would fly like military airlines to military bases. So I was really blessed in that aspect where my dad introduced me to travel early on. I think that's kind of where I got the bug, and that was increased in Europe when we studied abroad in 2015.
Wow.
That to me was the
All
most.
right.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place though?
Ooh.
It depends.
Yeah, it really changes on what you're looking for. So like if we're looking to kick back, hang out, really like dive into a culture that is so violently different than ours, Thailand.
Okay, to be honest, Thailand, I'm really weird about Thailand because I will land here and I will cry every time. I don't know why. I think I really do just love it here. It was the first place that we came. Our one-way tickets were to Bangkok, and it just so happened that 4 days into our trip, we met this wonderful Thai woman who basically adopted us. Kunme, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah.
But she ended up asking us because we always go to every single country that we go to with two phrases: hello and thank you.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised, like the entire demeanor of these people changes when you try and speak their language. And I think that that's a beautiful way to show respect. And whenever we go to countries, we always want to leave more than what we take from the culture.
Yeah, definitely.
We ended up working at this lady's noodle shop for the 2 weeks. She didn't charge us for food the entire 2 weeks.
So we would like clean up, we would serve people, we would wash dishes.
We learned Thai. We can,
Wow.
I don't know. It's just
That's so freaking awesome.
You
but
guys.
then also, if I want to look at really beautiful photogenic things.
Oh, sorry, say it again?
I was just gonna say, you guys better be careful because the way that you guys are speaking about this type of trip, I have a feeling that if someone's a little gung ho, they might step into something that they have no idea what they're stepping into. Because it honestly sounds like a fairy tale. Like, do you guys feel that way sometimes, where you're like, wow, this is like amazing. I can't believe we're doing this. It's like awesome. Yeah.
Every day.
100%. Like without fail. It'll
Can I
be.
show them the view really
Yeah,
quick?
show them the view.
Okay, so we are staying in a penthouse condo in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and
For $26 a night?
this is our view of the city. There with mountains in the background, and the place has 3 floors, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, all of the time it feels like a fairy tale. As a matter of fact,
You're blowing
I'm
Noah's
constantly
mind right now.
You guys. You guys can't see it, but Noah literally leaned all the way back in his chair and just ran his hands down his face. He can't handle this. You guys are making Noah really jealous.
Well, guys, the greatest thing with your podcast, it's remote work. That's part of that's just another way to make money online and sustain the lifestyle that we're living.
And honestly, this is part of what we teach in the course too, is like, if you wanted to start your own business, the opportunity on a computer is so ripe. You don't even have to. Daniel never went to like video editing school.
Yeah.
I didn't go to school to be a marketer, but YouTube University, y'all, we figured it out. A year of practice. Now we own a business. We're sustaining this.
Wow.
No, I love that you guys say
can do
that
it too?
Totally possible.
I love that you guys say that.
Literally,
though.
here's the thing. And this is actually what I recommend to anybody who's planning on doing this. If you're thinking of doing this, buy one-way tickets first and then do everything else. Because if you sat there and let yourself talk yourself out of it, you're going to. Because fact of the matter is, it's scary, and it's not going to get any less scary until you land at your final destination.
And then all that fear literally just turns into pure joy and excitement.
And then you're just
like,
wow.
I can do whatever I want with my life. This is amazing.
Literally, but you have to get to that point. So for us, the entire 8 months from the point that we bought our one-way tickets to the moment that they departed, we were kind of pooping our pants.
Yeah.
We have like video vlogs that will never go anywhere, but they're just
they may go somewhere one day, but that's a hard maybe.
Yeah. When Daniel and I were scared and going like, guys, this is terrifying. I don't know if this is the right decision, but I think it's going to be worth it. And I really just want freedom. And honestly, if we fail, we can always come back to our crappy jobs. But this opportunity to drop everything while we don't have a house, we don't have kids, we're not going to get that back. And I don't want to be 35, 45, 55, 65 in our deathbed going like,
I wish I would have.
Yeah, what would have been our life had we tried this? Because the worst thing that could happen is what? You fail and you go back to a job, you get an apartment, you buy another car. Like you can always go back to that. You can't get this for the rest of your life. You know?
Yeah, you're very right. Because honestly, you're speaking to, I'd say, an overwhelming population of people's fears here in America, not just America, but also the world of thinking, is there, what am I going to do at the end of my life? Am I going to be happy with the things that I accomplished and the things that I've seen? And you guys are living that out for yourselves. And I mean, there's nothing really more special about that.
Yeah. I just wish I could I feel so passionately about this. I wish I could just grab people by the face, and what are you doing? Wake up. If you hate your job, leave. Yeah. You don't have a gun in your head. You have no reason to stay there. Just do something else. Find your happiness. You have to create it. Happiness doesn't just fall on people's laps. Take it from someone who almost committed suicide 2 years ago. It doesn't fall on your lap. And if you don't change your life circumstances, your life isn't going to change. Nobody's going to make that change for you. Nobody's going to fight your life for you. You need to do that for you. Sorry, I get a little
please.
Yeah. I mean that's perfect though, because it's like we've said. I mean, we've said it multiple times in this episode now. It takes a special, brave, and strong person to do this. So with you having that history of depression and that suicide attempt and the things that had happened in your past, it just goes to show how strong you've come out of that fire through Chase for Adventure and through what you've done with your husband. And Daniel, you've been there through all that. And I mean, that not just this experience, but this has got to make you guys closer than ever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It really has. It's so weird. We're doing tours in Australia in a week.
Yeah.
In a week, and the thought of being without her for a week, it's no, don't go.
As it is, I had a meltdown yesterday when I realized that that's next week, and I'm like, Daniel, I really need alone time with you. Can we please just watch Netflix?
Wow.
And he's talking me down to the bathroom, and it's like, baby, breathe. It's a week. You're gonna be fine. Yeah. But I feel like I'm gonna be missing my right arm.
Because it really does. We've been out here traveling for so long now when it's just the two of us. And you really lean on each other. That's waking up talking to each other, breakfast talking to each other, all the way up until lunch talking to each other, all the way up until dinner talking to each other. And you spend a full 16 hours a day just hanging out with the other person.
Yeah, you really have to like your spouse.
Yeah.
For real. They need to be your best friend. But I wouldn't have it any other way. 100%. And I honestly think that Chase for Adventure has been as successful as it has been because of how much we love each other.
Exactly. And the relationship that we have and how we continually, even on the road, I guess you don't really think about things like this. The road, you have to put in just as much effort and just as much work as you do back home to a relationship. Just because of where you are doesn't change the fact that
dates are a thing.
Yeah, dates are a thing. You still may disagree on some items and stuff like that.
And sometimes you need a private hostel.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And not staying with 8 other people in a room because you're married and you want to do married people.
So you guys really what's the word I'm looking for? You guys really hammer home the whole amazingness of being able to travel together and everything. But with in regards to your YouTube channel and everything, because I know that you guys do the vlogs on it and everything, that offers immediate feedback from possibly people back at home, watching the stuff that you're doing and everything. So has that also been a fairly significant part of your enjoyment and your experience with that feedback from your channel and everything?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
For sure. The feedback is very encouraging. And it brings into perspective things that I never would have imagined. So for instance, like there's this one, do you want to tell them about the one lady back at O to B who's like, I would never have been able to travel to these places?
Yeah. So we at my preschool, there was a mom who was a paraplegic. She was wheelchair bound, and she was super supportive when I told her that I was leaving and that I was going to be going and doing this really crazy adventure. And she ended up sending us messages a couple months after we started going like, Annette, Daniel, thank you guys so much, because through you guys, I've been able to travel the world, which is something that I wouldn't have ever otherwise been able to. And we get messages like that all the time, or people, we're pretty candid about our battles with anxiety and depression. And I love it when people come to me and they're like, thank you so much for speaking about this. I thought that I was by myself. And, you know, seeing that you guys went from that black hole that is depression, which is exactly what that feels like, and the crippling anxiety of not even wanting to get out of your bed in the morning, to changing your life completely. You know, they tell us that gives us hope, and or gives them hope. And that to me fulfills a much greater purpose than seeing every country in the world. Like, I could honestly give a crap about seeing any more countries. Now, what I think where our heart really is at is changing people's lives and showing them just how much power they have over them too.
Yeah, it's a great way to put that.
Well, I'm sure you guys can relate to this, but for me, it's weird because you always toe the line of going and looking at your uploads and going, okay, well, how many views does this have? How many, you know, but it's not, it doesn't come from a base of, well, this many views because I want people to see what I'm doing, but it comes from that of like, I want to be able to know that what I'm doing is being shared. I want to know that people are able to see the product and the value. And for what you guys do, the content that you're putting out there, that's got to be, I mean, like you said, that's integral to what you do. Because if you don't love what you're doing and people aren't along for the journey, you know, kind of with this podcast, I honestly don't know if I'd have the drive to do it if it weren't for the fact that I know people like it. You know, it's hard to find a joy in that. But content wise, we're going to start getting wrapped up here soon. Content wise, I just got to ask this question only because you guys have been doing YouTube for a fair amount of time now. With YouTube and the liberty that provides you, let's say somehow, some way, it's honestly not that crazy of an idea either, because you guys are great at what you do. You have great chemistry. You guys are both very likable people. Let's say something like Netflix contacts you and we go, we want to order a, you know, well, they don't do pilots, but they do it by the episode or something like that. They go, we want to book you guys. We want to get 10 episodes in. These are the locations. This is what we want to do. Would you stick to the freedom that YouTube provides for you to do your own content, or do you think that you'd go along that route so that your content could get seen more and share your message?
That is an excellent question.
We've actually talked about that.
Yeah, if it were a like consistent, we don't want to be Anthony Bourdain, for example. We want our freedom and our production freedom. But like, for example, Netflix, you're able to kind of like sell your episodes to them and spread that message while maintaining a lot of your creative freedom. They're more like purchasing your product versus hiring you for a TV show.
And that's how we would do it.
Yeah.
Because we really do love the freedom that this lifestyle has given us and that the platform YouTube has really enabled. And so I don't think we would give that up.
No, and here's the other thing that I think television, Netflix, etc. lacks that YouTube doesn't is the really personal one-on-one connection that we get with every single person who comments, who likes, who reaches out to us.
Yeah, because we get a ding on our phone and we'll have full conversations with people literally in Afghanistan, in Korea, in South America. It doesn't matter where it is.
Everywhere. And that the same thing goes for like Instagram, for example. We're just able to be so connected to our audience, and our audience to us really is more important than any dollar sign.
Agreed.
You could give us.
Wow.
That's a fantastic.
And in Thailand, you could live for $1,000 a month. So I really don't even need that much money to begin with. So.
That's perfect.
Well said.
What else do you need, viewers at home? What else do you need? Like, go buy a one-way ticket to Thailand. That's all we get. Yeah,
That's it.
Bye. He's gone.
And hit us up if you have any questions. Join Worker to Wander if you want to know the right way to do it, so you don't like have mental breakdown sobbing in a room somewhere. That's actually something else that we're offering with the course is the people who sign up for Worker to Wanderer get to have biweekly meetings with Daniel and I. So we'll be able to get on like Skype or Zoom specifically, and whatever fears that they have, whatever worries, whatever questions, they'll be able to literally talk to us and be like, Annette, Daniel, you guys have done this before. I'm freaking out. And I'm going to be like, friend, it's okay. You've got this.
Yeah, we don't want to lose that personability.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys.
Best believe I'll be hitting you guys up with more questions.
Yeah, there you go.
No, you better not just leave without us.
Dude, we're planning that world tour, you know. With
oh my gosh.
Could
you imagine Talk Your Walk Global? I could not imagine that.
That would be awesome.
All right, done. You guys have your idea.
Yeah.
Let's see it happen.
Talk Your Walk on the walk.
Really good.
Yeah,
big old bucks on podcasting, just saying JLD, Smart Passive Income, Jenna Kutcher. I love podcasts.
Oh, same. Yeah, no, yeah.
That's a can of worms.
Earlier, when you said that you wanted to grab people by the shoulder and just be like, why don't you get it? That's how I am with podcasting. So I completely get it. But seriously, thank you guys for doing this. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for coming on the podcast. You guys, what you're doing is special. It's unique. And honestly, from the fact that all three of us have had interactions with you and knowing you, seeing how happy you guys are in your life and seeing where you are, it's not just as a podcaster does that make me go like, oh, I can't believe that my guests, you know, when they come on here, they're doing this out of the pleasure of their hearts, but also just as a person, like it's amazing to see how happy you guys are in your life and how close that you are. It's refreshing to see a married couple talk about the strengths that come out of being married and how great the relationship is. So thank you again, guys.
Well, thank you guys for having us. It's been a pleasure being on your podcast.
It's been so fun chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's been so cool. So before we leave, you've obviously talked a lot about your all of your stuff that you're doing. So if there's anything you want to plug, any websites, your YouTube channel, obviously, because all that will be in the description down below. But is there anything you want to shout out, say, you know?
So yeah, go on YouTube, Chase for Adventure, subscribe, make sure that you go on Instagram, Chase for Adventure, follow. We do Instagram stories every single day.
Yeah.
And if travel is something that you really are passionate about, on www.chaseforadventure.com, we actually have a whole resource library filled with a money budgeting sheet for people who want to start setting up their travel fund, a money saving tips sheet, a 50 creative ways to make money while you travel sheet. So if you guys are serious out there about traveling and want to learn how to make it sustainable, go on to chaseforadventure.com, click the little button that says resource library, shoot us an email, and we will help you with anything that you need.
Yeah.
Click it, people. Go see the world.
Seriously, because I know I am. See you.
All right, guys. This is the Talk Your Walk podcast. We're out.